Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Deborah. Today I'm creating what I'm calling a keepsake journal, or I'm starting on it anyway. So what I want to do is create a journal where I can add things that I want to keep into one journal, and mostly they are things that have dimension of some sort. So I've started by tearing some pages out of this book and sticking them together. So I'm going to put a few more, but I'm just wondering if I should stop right now and make a hole in them. So the first thing I've got is, this is my mother's QCWA badge, and it's actually the 75th anniversary of QCWA and belonged to Mum, and it's got a pin on the back, so therefore when I put it on a page it's going to stick up. Now I guess that I could probably take that pin off there in somehow. I probably might try and do that actually. I don't mind that it's not a pin anymore as such. In case you're wondering what the QCWA is, it's the Queensland Country Women's Association. So it's a group that does a lot of charity work, meeting mainly for country women, or they do have it in the city now as well. But that was easy. But it's really something that was my mum's, and so that's why I'm going to keep it and put it into this keepsake journal. So I think the plan would be to cut like just a circle out. Once again, no idea if it'll work, but we'll give it a go. And then just cut through the pages. So maybe I've got half a dozen pages or more that I've glued together. Just roughly glued them with some Yuri stick, and I could put this through my cutter, and you know, I've got a die that I could do this with. I'm not sure how thick I can go through the die, and on top of that I thought that maybe it'd be nicer to do it by hand. It'll certainly be more rustic doing it by hand, and that's okay. No problem with having a bit of a rustic look. And I've got more pages that I can put underneath. Now, what happens, because I've taken that pin off, is it's not going to be terribly high, but I think I do need a few more pages. So I'll just repeat that process again, which is just sticking them down. And I don't want them stuck necessarily all the way around. I'm happy if they're just roughly stuck down, because I'll get the different edges then, and I'll fluff them up after I've put it all together when I put them into a book. And I will put them onto a page that is larger than this, so it's not going to be super tiny, because these pages are quite small, and I want to have a bigger journal because I do have some bigger items to put in. Because I'm using a pair of scissors and hand cutting them, it won't be even, but it'll also be much easier to get my size right, because I can put the item on a page and then measure it and then cut my circle out. I think I've got them all. No, one more. So that's why I'm choosing to do it this way. This is just an idea I've had, because I thought I need to do something with all my keepsakes, and I don't know if it's going to work. But as usual, I'm happy to give it a go, and if it doesn't work, not the end of the world. I'd like it to work though in this instance, simply because I've got all these little trinkets that I want to put somewhere into one book and have them as, you know, have some information about them, and also keep the actual item as well as the story. So now I'll just put this on top. I think I need another Yoo-hoo stick, and just put some around that circle. I'll put that here. It's going to be so that it's not, I'm going to stick it in, so it's not going to go in pages, but when the book is shut, it's going to be not hitting the top of the page. That's the reason for putting some dimension in here. I'll just get a couple more pages and stick it on. And then I can also decorate around the page as well. Just realised what this book says. Inconvenience of being hanged. It's an interesting book, this book, obviously. Anyway, it is what it is. It's the one I'm choosing to use, so I'm just going to have to run with it. I'll put something over that when I do it, do the decoration on it. Now I just want to ink around those edges so that get that sort of look in there. And the other thing I'll do is I'll put something under here. I've decided that I'm going to use a plain card because it's colourful, and it's one that I've put a bit of tissue over the top of it, and that will create some colour and interest behind the piece. And I also switch to using my glue. So just get this down where I want it. And then all of that gets stuck down on here. And then I'll just swish like this and squish these edges up. I really like this look when you're sort of just pulling things up like this. I think that that looks quite good, and I'm really just crushing them. That's all I'm doing, is just pulling them and crushing them along the edge, especially around the corners. And then put the piece down. So I'll just glue this in. And what I want to do now is get some stuff to put around here. So I just need to find out what that might be. I'm going to use some florals because my mum loved flowers. She was a great gardener, so I think I'm going to use some florals on this one. Could have used some florals at the back, but you really can't tell what that is under there, so it's not the end of the world. And I'll just put some flowers around. Some of these might be a little bit too big, but that one's probably not correct. Okay. Now I've not decided what the journal's going to look like that this goes into. So I think I'll set the pages aside once they're done, and then I can work out which journal I want to make or put them in. I think I'll probably end up making a new one for all of these, because I definitely want to put the stories as well as the items in here. I think that's fine. I like that. So that's page 1, and now I'm going to do another one. So when I work out which book I'm going to put them in, I'll put glue on the back and I'll stick this down, and I'll make sure that my pages are far enough apart that it can take it. But the main point is that this, the actual item, is not poking up too much, and you can see there that it's quite much in the book because there's a hole in here, so it's actually quite flat against the top page, and that's why I was doing it this way. So that's one thing. I have to write the story, but I'm not going to do that right now. Now, depending on the size of the thing you're putting in, and the depth of the thing, I should say, the size doesn't matter, it just matters how, what the depth of the item is. You will have to make a deeper channel if you're going to make one of these than perhaps other things you've got. where you can do something that's not as deep in terms of the channel. Now, the badge that I just did is not very deep. The depth of it is quite flat, especially since I took the pin off. So it's just a matter of working out what you want to put in and then working out the depth of the hole you need on top of that. Let's just put some of these down. Now, I'm not going to do every page in the book like this, because I probably have some things that are keepsakes but are not actually that deep, so they're quite flat. I could put those in without having to do one of these, but today's video was about showing you what I intend to do with all of these things that I have. This one's quite deep. Now I'll just grab what I want and see if I need to make anything deeper than that. So this is my finisher's medal for the half marathon that I ran in 2009, and I want to put this in, and that says the date and everything on it, so I want to be able to lift it up. I'll still create the channel, but then I want to put this in so I can lift it up. Now I'm just sort of seeing that that is big enough, and I don't think it is, but it is quite thick, so I think I'll be right. I should be able to cut this down once I've glued all these pages on together. Anyway, we'll give it a go, and I need to find a ribbon or something to put that on. Now this medal, I just ripped that off and I didn't mean to. The medal actually came with a ribbon, but when I was going to do this as a slow stitch piece, when I, had in my head that maybe I could do a slow stitching piece, and then I went, I don't think so. I actually used the ribbon and I stitched it on to a snippet roll, but I think I can cut it off and use it. In fact, I did a couple of things that I've already made because of that snippet roll that I thought the fantasy in my head said that I could do that. I'm blaming, all those wonderful slow stitches. It's not my fault, it's their fault because they make it look so easy. However, I worked out that it wasn't. Anyway, here is the piece. Now, I will put them together because I think my scissors are quite strong, that they are going to go through all this. And you also notice that I'm putting all the spines from the book on one side. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? So nice, really grungy, love it. And I now need to cut for the piece. So this is going to have to be bigger. Now, because I'm going to put a ribbon up here, I thought that maybe I will do it like long and skinny. Let's try it and see if we can get through it. Yep, that's cutting through. I could have done it in 2 sections. I might next time. It's pretty easy though. Now, I did something like this with Antinous, I can't say his last name, but from Stamperia a year or so ago. I remember doing something, and in fact I've got the book, so I might grab that out. And I know we basically cut through layer after layer of the book page. I'd actually forgotten all about that until just then. And it turned out really nicely, but it took forever to cut through all those layers, and at the end my hand was so sore. I guess that's, suffering for your art or something, isn't it? I'll just grab that and show you. And this is what I'm talking about. And all those layers of that book, we actually cut through them and it took forever. Now that's a really deep channel. I don't need anything that big at this stage, but if I did, I could cut through, and that's what we did with that. And the whole book is actually just that. It doesn't, the pages in this one don't open, but I had forgotten about that. So I might have to remember that in future. Really like all the stitching that I did on this one. Again, it was pretty tedious though. It took a long time to stitch it all up and get it done. So this one is going to be a little simpler compared to that one. And I just want to ink my edges up. And I need a couple more pages now to stick this onto. Now, I want to pull this piece of ribbon off this stitched, you know, this snippet that I was doing, because it's actually got that, you know, the thing there on it. I'm going to have to cut it, obviously. Maybe I'll put it up the side, actually. And then the metal will sit down here, and I need some ribbon to put on it. Don't think I've got any ribbon lying around on the table, so I have to grab some of that as well. I also want to put a few other things on this page. I didn't come last either in the race or in my age group, and that was all I really wanted to do, was to beat somebody home, and I beat a few people home. But I'm not really built for running, and I trained very hard and was planning to do some more, but then we had some family tragedies and I didn't really run again after this race, which was a pity. I'm always hoping I'll get back to it, but I'm not sure that I ever will. But never say never. Actually, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to put this one down here because I've got my, you know, my number that I wore on the day, and I can write it on here. So this is more of doing some of the prep work before I actually come and do, you know, pull the book together, but I will be doing that. So you'll have to stay tuned for that one. Just looking at that again, I've meant to actually test that. That's pretty good because I've got the thickness of the book, but I've also got this ribbon, and so if you sort of run your hand over it, it's pretty good in terms of size. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, I've already stuck this down, and I wish I hadn't, but it's coming up fairly easily because I wanted to put the ribbon up here and have it behind there. Let me just chop that off quickly. And let's glue some of this down now. Try and get that in there, and then up under here. Chop that off, and then stick this page down over the top of it. And then you can still lift this up. Now, the next one is also something that I put onto this snippet roll. So I just have to grab it off. I've got bits. I'll use all of this, so it's not really going to waste at all. Okay. So this is my grandmother's bowling pin for Cara Women's Bowling Club. And I found it in my dad's stuff when he passed away last year, and a few other things of hers as well, which was really exciting when I found them. I wasn't really expecting to find anything, but I will leave it on here and put it underneath. So I need to do a hole that is going to be big enough. So I'll start with something like that, see if it works. not as thick as the last one, so I might have to thicken it up a bit. And also widen it. I'm not sure yet. Let me just have a look once I get it cut out. You notice I'm not worrying too much about whether this is straight, the shape. I don't care. I just want to have it like that because it's easier and I like the look, the end result. And just let's put that in here. Now I will have to build that up some more, but I can do that. So I'll cut it off down here. And I will also make some more of this. Now how I'm going to make some more of these is get a bunch of pages and put this on top of it and then draw around it. And I have to stick them all together now. Now the other thing you can do, if you do want to cut this like in a circle, you could use a template, or if you wanted a proper thing like this, you could use something like that. I'll just show you. And just remembering that if you use this, you have to cut outside the lines, otherwise you'll have a line there, or you could rub it out, I suppose. And of course, if you want to have them thicker than this, you'll just have to do more levels of them. That's okay. I'll probably have to build it up a bit more though, because it's a little bit too thin. It's just coming over the top of there. So I'll just grab some more pages and do that again till I get it to a thickness that I think is fine. Okay, now I need a page to stick it onto. So let's, I need this on here first, don't I? Okay, let's just work out where it's got to go. I'll put it down and then I'll hopefully still be able to move it around. You can see I've put the pin through the back. I haven't taken the pin off this one. I could. The other one was just a generic badge, so I was happy just to take the pin off, but this one I don't want to, because if I ever want to unpin it, I'll be able to do so. Well, not so much me, but you know, if the children want to unpin it, or whoever in the future, they'll be able to and take it out. And of course what I was going to say was, if you want to ink the edges, do so around the center there before you actually put it in. Let's let that dry a little bit before I start flicking those up. Okay, and then this one, I need to put some stuff on it as well. Let's see what we've got here. I don't know why the 165, it just appealed to me. I saw it there in the box of Tim Holtz stuff then, and that's what I've decided to put. Okay, so they're the 3 pages that I've done so far, and I will go think about what I'm going to put them into, but so far I'm quite liking them. I think that they look quite good, and this book's falling apart because it's that old, but I think it'll look good when they're all together. So I mean, they're probably not going to be page after page like this. I'm probably going to have other things in between them, but you get the idea. And I'll come back and I'll do more of this once I decide which book I'm going to put it into. And if you've got keepsakes like this, you can craft along with me. That'd be great. Don't forget that you can share what you do either on Instagram or YouTube, and send me the links and tag me in Instagram at stringandscissorsau so that I can find you. That's great. So that's all for today. Thank you everyone for watching. Cheers.